I'm going to fail the test. I can't remember what black was for.
Getting your license revoked right
I know.
now.
Oh, man. Oh, I failed. Oh.
Hey guys, Sausage here. Today we're reviewing Do No Harm. It's a papers, please type game, but instead of being a border patrol where you check passports, you're actually a doctor in a Lovecraftian setting. And I am here with Freybeard PC right now. This is a collab review. So let's go ahead and get started.
Nice. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me, Sausage.
I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me.
No, I'm
Um,
excited. This is going to be really good.
yeah, absolutely. Well, do you just want to? What are your thoughts on the story?
Yeah, I think I really liked the story. I think it's got an interesting way of how the game tells it, though. Do you think? Like a lot of the story seems to be coming through, like the cutscenes. I think is the main way that it's told. Like, there's not a lot of environmental storytelling.
Mm-hmm. You mean like with the newspapers, like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, there's the newspapers. Of course, there's the intro cutscene. Telling
Mm-hmm.
you how the doctor got there and how he got in that circumstance in the first place. But then through the game, yeah, there's the newspaper clippings at the start of every day. You get a bit more storytelling through that, and there's certainly like elements in the office, the doctor's office. There's Bibles on the. Well, I think there's a Bible on the bookshelf, and there's all these, interesting scratches in the medical book that we can probably talk about in some of the gameplay mechanisms, I'm sure as well, that sort of allude to some weird thing going on in the background. Um, I think you and I think were very similar about when we played this game initially. That Cthulhu theme with the kind of Papers, Please medical style interview, that really was something I was super keen to try out. Uh, I thought it was a fascinating take on this kind of style of game.
Yeah. I've played Papers, Please, and that's a very unique type of game, and I feel like there have been some copycats, but this one I feel like it stands out because of the Cthulhu theme, the Lovecraftian theme, and
Yeah,
while I like that, I I feel bad saying it, but I feel like it's not exactly unique because
yeah,
you can slap Lovecraftian stuff on anything, and it's like, okay, we've seen this before. It's not
yeah.
bad, but it doesn't stand out either.
Yeah. Do you think, and I agree, like you look at games like Dredge, that's got a sort of similar
Mm-hmm.
Lovecraftian theme as well. So yeah, you're right. Like it's been done before. Um, I I think like I was super keen to see where this was going to go, and I was kind of a little bit bummed that a lot of the story is simply told in the cutscenes only. And the more you get through the game, I was hoping it would, I don't know, maybe stretch outside of the office at some point in some
Okay.
way, in some sort of gameplay mechanism. Like you said before, you're talking about the newspapers. That's how some of the story is told.
Mm-hmm.
And you see in the newspapers, there's murders, there's, weird things going on in the background in the city, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought maybe there might be a murder that the police chief, we would then get invited to do an autopsy or
Oh,
go and
that would
see a
be cool.
murder scene. Like, how cool would that be? Like, and there'd be some sort of mechanism that you could integrate that Cthulhu theme in a separate a separate environment and
Mm-hmm.
have a bit more environmental storytelling.
Yeah. It.
I suppose. Go on.
Maybe there is something slightly like that because there are 12 different endings, but I
Yeah.
think for the most part that's not something that I don't think that's an actual mechanic, though I agree. I think it would have been cool to have something like that.
Mm. I do wonder if it's probably a budgetary choice, like having to move the game setting from the office, where it's clearly they've spent a lot of time designing and making that work for the game. Having you leave that office and then go outside or go somewhere else, that's more money that they've got to put into art and to, design and into UI as well. So
Right.
uh, maybe that's a limiting factor.
Well,
Um,
since you brought it up, what are your thoughts on the art? Because Honestly, I really liked it. Um,
Yeah.
some of it doesn't match up in my opinion. Some of it's 2D, and I like that. Some of it almost looks like it was pulled from Borderlands, and I like that as well. Or
Yeah.
my favorite part is when you hit the psychosis by seeing like three different anomalies, and then you've got like that psychedelic, like it's almost like you're watching a like a 3D movie with the red and blue glasses, and you take it off.
Yeah.
I really like that. I thought it looked really good.
When you're drinking the laudanum and that sort of effect takes
Mm-hmm.
hold, and you get that weird, transitional sort of hallucination to real, vision. Uh, yeah, I don't know. I think that was kind of awesome. I totally agree with you about the art. There's this weird mashup, right, of like 2D patients. The patients come in, and then there's sort of funny 2D cardboard cutout, and you're sitting in this really strangely rendered and lit doctor's office,
Mm-hmm.
which is completely 3D, and it's this fascinating meld of 2D and 3D, which I think really kind of highlights the characters a little bit more. They kind of stand out because of that. Uh, and I jived with that. I thought it was pretty awesome. And I see what you're saying about the Borderlands. I'm watching footage now. There's this sort of semi-cell shaded
Right.
part to the office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, I think it made it really atmospheric for me. Like, I really felt I felt like they'd spent a lot of time in that office designing everything in that office, making the visuals really pop color wise, as well as all of the elements, that are there. They all have a particular purpose, and there's a certain amount of storytelling from the books on the shelf and the paintings in the background and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and like all the anomalies, how did you the varying things that you start to hallucinate?
Some of them I didn't even notice at first because
Yeah.
you've got that little totem, and he'd say, "Hey, buddy, you missed one." I'm like, "No, I didn't,"
Oh my
and
god,
then you
all the
did.
time. Yeah. Oh, I can't tell you how many times that happened. I missed so many. I didn't notice the window to the right, because you got your window straight ahead
Mm-hmm.
of you, that you'll, see an insect man or a huge eyeball, poking in their vision in there. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a window to your right that if you don't look at specifically, you can miss, because there's sometimes they'll sit in that window as well, or you'll have strange octopi pictures on the patient's profile if you look down.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're trying to eliminate whether there's an anomaly, you have to look in every single part of your vision to eliminate the fact that there's an anomaly going on.
I'll be completely honest. I didn't. In hindsight, thinking about it, I know that there's a window to the right, but I never looked there for anomalies. I,
I I chanced it, man. I totally chanced it. I actually turned to the right to look at the calendar and just happened to note a ruddy great octopus looking in from the outside. I went, "Oh, that's not meant to be there." So I would have missed it entirely, honestly. It was just total chance.
how long did it take you to complete one whole like playthrough of the game?
Oh, the problem for me in terms of time was I killed so many patients. Like there was just I was given that body guy, the guy from the cemetery. I was giving him so much work. I think I had to replay so many times because of the amount of death and destruction I caused. In the end, I think like a full playthrough probably took me about 5 hours,
Okay.
but you'd probably have to add in quite a lot of failure in that, because as the mechanism in the game is, you can actually, if you fail, whether it's financially fail or medically fail with lots of dead people at the end of the day, you can then sort of start the day again, sort of go back in time and sort of fork, almost like Back to the Future, like you fork
Okay.
off onto another timeline sort of thing and then restart that day. And so I did that about 5 or 6 times.
My first playthrough, I made it about halfway through the month because you've got 30 days you're supposed to get through. I made it about halfway through, and I was running out of money, and I was killing people because I was having a little bit of trouble figuring out the wheel, which, you know,
Oh man, I have got so much to ask you about that wheel, man.
I
Oh my god.
I don't think it's that hard, but there is definitely a learning curve. You really have to play
Yeah.
with it to figure it out. And
Yeah.
so my
100%.
my first playthrough, the ending I got was, I think it was the townspeople like hung me. They were upset because I was not healing people. I was killing people, and they just got
No
tired of it.
way.
Yeah, they killed me. They executed me.
Oh, I don't think I got that. I don't think I got the ending where I got hung. Wow. That's fantastic.
And then the second playthrough, it did take me 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I totally agree. The humor circle, the I struggled with it, I got to admit, in
Okay.
trying to work out dosages. Because there's that perfect dose. It
Mm-hmm.
teaches you in that very first thing where you get it. They say there is a specific perfect dose you can actually almost calculate.
Mm-hmm.
And for love nor money, I could not work out how that thing just, I was killing people left, right, and center. And then I sat down and said, okay, I'm going to take an in-game day and I'm just going to murder everyone with this wheel. And I'm just going to work it out and then go back in time. And that's how I came to grips with it eventually. It was just,
Okay.
right, I'm going to spend a murder day and it's going to be like death and destruction, but I'm going to work that wheel at the end of it.
My
But
biggest
yeah,
issue was, some of them would say like, "Oh, I need a small dose," but they don't explicitly tell you what a small or a large or mild dose is. You just kind of have to figure it out. But
yeah,
when you go into the book, they've got, if it's just like red boils, you have to do 1 to 3 doses. And then eventually
yeah,
I'm like, oh, that's what a small dose is. But even then, sometimes I would give them 3 and they're like, oh, I'm almost healed, but not all the way. I'm like, well, that's
yeah,
a small dose. I don't, what, it's
yeah.
not a small dose anymore then.
That exact thing happened to me frequently, and I agree. There's a lot of the times where they say I just need a small dose,
Hmm.
and I'm with you. I thought small dose meant 1 to 3, and that happened so many times where I would give a dose of 3, and they'd say, "Oh, I'm almost there," and so I'd give another 3. Oh, I'm almost there, and I'd give another 3. And I know it's not a cumulative thing, but it does strike me as weird that you're giving, that small dose 3 times,
Hmm.
and that's what they're asking for, and it's not working.
Right.
And it's cumulatively adding up to a very large dose, but I know that that's not how this game works. Seemingly, is it's not a cumulative thing. You've got to get the number right.
Hmm.
But that took me a long time to actually understand, and I got that wrong so many times. Oh, I just need a small dose. Well, that didn't work, and you just feel like you're completely confused at the end of the day.
What about that little clock thing? It's to the right of the book, but it's below. There's another item just above it, but it's got like It's got 3 humors and there's percentages. I never understood what that was about.
Yeah. I think I got that by the end. I'm not 100% sure, but I think what it was doing was, say you give like cuz I often would give like a 2 dose of something as kind of like a test. I'd say, "Okay, you're coming in with a headache." That's probably one of the vital humors,
Mm-hmm.
either the blue or the red, and I'd give a 2 dose of red, sort of taking a chance,
Mm-hmm.
and then if that little wheel would then give you percentages, I think, as an indication of a chance that you've got the right kind of humor or not out of the 4.
Okay.
So it would sort of give you some guidance as to what humor you should be using next if you've picked the wrong one. So say you get meant to give the patient red and you give them blue accidentally or on purpose. The clock will come up saying, well, that didn't help him or her. So the chances of it being blue is probably only 10 to 15%, and the chances of it being red is more like 80%. So then it was sort of, I treated it like a guide as to where I should be possibly going. But then, like I think we discussed, I found it a little bit inaccurate sometimes. It would say like 80% you should be looking at yellow,
Mm-hmm.
but then I'd be giving them black and that would cure them. And so it wasn't 100% there, I think.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I would get them, almost healed, and it would say, 80% or maybe even 100. I don't remember for sure. But I'm like, okay, so I'm doing the right thing. So I would give them more of that same medicine, but then nothing would happen. Or maybe they even get worse. And I'm thinking, so what do the percentages mean? That means it means nothing to me. I don't. It.
Yeah, it doesn't give you an idea of dosage at all. I feel like it was a vague sort of trying to point you at the humor that it thinks
Mhm.
you might need, almost like an AI system trying to tell you, I don't know, is it yellow? Probably. So yeah, that's how I didn't use it a lot until probably the last quarter of the game,
Okay.
maybe. How did you feel about the progression of, the systems, because it starts off very simply. You pick the humor
Hmm.
and you barely even have to get the dose right. It's pretty much if you get the humor right, they're pretty much cured. And then it scales, doesn't it? It goes
Hmm.
to, okay, you've worked out what the humors are. And I liked that. There was a drip feed of information and new systems. How did you feel about that? That sort of drip feed of, okay, now dosages, now diagnostic tools, now this, now that.
I really liked it. Like you said, they're diagnostic tools, so I had multiple different things to guide me, to give me feedback. And comparing that to Papers, Please, I like that it's in Papers, Please, but I always forgot something like, oh, that wasn't a correct stamp, or they didn't hand you this ticket. But with Do No Harm, I felt like it was much clearer, and it wasn't as penalizing. It, like, if I
Mm,
gave the wrong medicine or the wrong dosage, there it wasn't a guaranteed loss. It's just like, hey, you made a mistake, let's try to correct that, because you get like 4 or 5 tries or whatever,
yeah,
normally. So
yeah.
I really liked it. I thought that those tools were very fleshed out. They did
Mm,
not rush you. It wasn't penalizing if you got something wrong. I do think that the 30 days was a little bit long, though. I feel like they could have maybe
yeah.
condensed it into like, 14 or maybe even 21, because I don't feel like there was enough diagnostic tools to warrant stretching it out that far.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think the length of it, it feels stretched, doesn't it, in that
Mm-hmm.
last little bit? And I I think I was doing the same things over and over again after I got the stethoscope. I had a routine, man. I got like into a flow state. Did you get that? Like I just got into the point where it's like patient in history. Tell me symptom. Okay, that's a yellow humor. Okay, let's look at examination, eyes, ears, mouth, auscultation of the heart, of the lungs, and then I'd come back. I'd look for anomalies. I'd look at the patient's chart for allergies, and then I'd find dosage and do that. And it was this like flow state of like bang, 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 out sort of thing. Because you need money to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt like the appointments were so much longer with so much more in my toolkit, in my diagnostic toolkit.
I kind of hit that flow state as well. As they're telling me their symptoms, I might, flip over to the book, but
Yeah,
sometimes I'm flipping through the little flashcards in my mind, as if like I'm
yeah,
an actual doctor, and I'm
yeah,
thinking, okay, so
yeah.
you have a headache, so that's going to be the red
That's
vital.
that's red. Yeah,
But you're allergic to nuts, and you're a woman over the age of 50, so it can't be a high dose, or whatever it might be.
yeah.
You get to the point where you're like, I kind of
You're
know what.
memorizing stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it felt cool. I really liked it.
Yeah, yeah. It was a good feeling. You felt like you'd studied for a test and you were just nailing it.
Yeah. I do like there's almost like that historical accuracy to it with the different humors from early medical sciences. It's like, clearly we know today that those are bogus and that it's not
Mm.
accurate, but comparing it to history, it's like, oh, I mean, I kind of like that. It's historically accurate.
I had like just so much fun with that aspect of like almost learning, knowing it's totally fictional, but
Yeah.
man, that just felt really great. Does that sound weird? It must sound weird. Like reading this book and going, "Oh, headache, that's red. Oh, digestive issues, that's yellow, I think, right? Diarrhea, that's yellow. Uh, I'm gonna fail the test. I can't remember what black was for.
Getting your license revoked right
I know.
now.
Oh man. Oh, I failed. Oh.
It-
Yeah, I love that. Was so cool. It was just such a fascinating way to do it.
Actually saying it, you're right. It does sound kind of weird, but in your head, you're like, nah, this is super cool. This isn't weird at
Yeah,
all.
absolutely. Can I ask you, with the diagnostic, we're going back to the diagnostic tools, right? You've got the humors in the sort of in the back, in your immediate back. In the front of the tray, you've got these vital, what I was calling potions, I guess, that
Okay.
you throw on the patient. Did you use those much? There's the vital one, the digestive one, there's a high one, and then there's a low one.
I use them occasionally if I like it. Sometimes I would just go with my gut and I'd say, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna try the blue.
Yeah, I
What
did
phlegm?
that too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and then you just see where it leads you, sort of thing.
yeah, but sometimes like if I had absolutely nothing to go on, it's like, well,
Yeah.
it's a 50-50 shot. I'm gonna throw
Yeah.
one, and then it's like, okay, so it's not gonna be vitals, and then
Yeah.
again another 50-50 shot. But luckily,
Digestive.
you're not penalized for that. Like the needle will
No.
go up or down, but it doesn't actually change categories. So I did use them occasionally, but
Because you do get those patients, right, that come in
Mm-hmm.
and say, I can't really explain my symptoms. I feel unwell, but I can't tell you how. And then that's how I was using those potions. Like, well, I don't know either, man. Let's throw some vital juice on you and see how you roll.
right.
But the ones I didn't come to grips with the high and the low. The vital and the digestive, I got. That made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But the high and the low, I don't know if that was referring to dosage or if it was referring to something else. I used them occasionally when I just had no clue what I was doing, and I didn't fully get their effect, and I ended up not using them as much because I frankly didn't know how to use them.
I think it was related to dosage, but
Right.
I can't be 100% sure.
Mm.
I would throw the low, and if it went up, I just assumed, okay, it's going to be
gonna be a low
1 to
dose.
3, yeah. And
Right. Okay.
I never had issues, but again, I can't say with complete certainty that that's what it was.
Yeah. Do you know what's interesting? Sometimes I would throw one of those potions if it was toward the end of my sort of treatment. Say I'd give them 1 or 2 syringes of something, and then I was completely confused. I'd throw a potion on them, and sometimes the sheer fact of throwing the potion on them would actually cure them. Did that happen to you? Like they'd be fully healed, and I could just send them on their way.
I never had that happen. It
Yeah.
might be just, a luck of the draw type thing, but no, I
That's what I
never
was
had that
wondering.
happen.
Yeah, so I didn't fully understand it because sometimes it would happen and the thing would say fully healed, and then the patient would storm out of the office saying, "Oh, what a waste of time." I'm like, "Dude, you're fully healed."
I wonder if that's a bug.
It might be. It might be. Because yeah, I had actually injected them with something just for giggles, and then was confused and just threw some red stuff on them, and just it happened to cure them.
I like that you threw some stuff on them and
Yeah.
you injected them for giggles. That's very.
Yeah,
You're a great
well-
doctor.
I know, right? I smashed it out. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to inject you first. That didn't work. Let's try something different. Let's try some topical medication. Try this fantastic red shampoo.
So overall, what do you Well, first off, do you have anything else you want to add? Because I feel like, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Yeah, I think the other thing I would probably add, I suppose, is the. It's a small thing, right? I liked the sounds. Like, this is so, like, minute in the sort of analysis of this thing, but, you've got bugs scuttling around the office, you've got spiders, you've got cockroaches, and particularly as because, over time, if you miss those anomalies like we were talking about, your sort of insane meter starts to increase, and you start to notice more cockroaches, scampering around the desk, and spiders and things as well. And they have all these noises associated with the spiders. And I kind of liked the scuttling noises, and I liked the spiders as well. Reminds me of home, living in Australia. Big spiders. I was right at home there. I liked that sound design as well. The thing that kind of bummed me out was maybe the music. Like, I suppose they can't have really heavy, imposing music in it. It's very subtle in the background. It's just
Hmm.
more for suspense, isn't it? Really, I think is what its job is, and it does okay at that. But I kind of missed having some kind of memorable musical background going on.
Yeah, and at first I wanted to talk about sound as well, back
Mm.
when we were planning this whole thing. And then I
Mm.
was thinking about it and I thought, but there's
It's
not
not a
really,
lot.
yeah, there's
It's not.
no.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit of like soft piano, like in like
Yes.
in a minor key, maybe.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
One thing I did
Yep.
notice though is in the very beginning they do have there's a voice actor reading everything, but
Yes.
when I got to my first ending, the one where I got sentenced to death by the townspeople, I don't
Yeah.
think I had a voice actor. Maybe it bugged, but I'm just assuming
Ah.
there wasn't a recording for that. So if that's the case, how many other endings don't have it?
From memory, I'm going off of here
Mm-hmm.
because I played through because I kept going back in time. I'd finish it, have one ending, and then I'd go back and then try a different ending. So
Okay.
I played through about 3 or 4 different endings, I think.
Okay.
So I didn't get hanged. I did get, I'll try not to spoil it. But, I got very, very severely punished in a very eternal, ethereal, and horrific way.
Oh.
Uh, Several, yeah, like just and interestingly, I'm pretty sure there wasn't a narration for that. And now that you bring it up, like you said, there's music at the start, but there was actually some pretty freaking creepy music, I gotta say, actually playing over this scene of me getting possessed and I don't know, ripping my own innards out or something. I can't
Oh.
remember. Some sort of, yeah, it was absolutely like terrifying. Uh, and laughing apparently while I'm doing it. And this creepy music is playing in the background. I'm like, wow, that's the most horrific thing I've ever witnessed. In a
I
very cartoon and fun way.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. I love that there's multiple endings.
Yeah.
But seeing as how like a single playthrough takes 4 to 5 hours, unless you do what you did and then you just go back to like a previous day,
Yeah. You,
that's a big commitment for just a different ending.
yeah. So do you think like in terms of replayability, it kind of limits itself a little bit that way, I suppose?
Just a little bit. This might be one of those games where you come back to once, every once in a while. And then in that case, 4 to 5 hours isn't too daunting. But
Yeah.
if you finish the gameplay, at least for me, I didn't feel any desire to immediately start up another game. It was like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it sit there for a while. I'll be back later.
Yeah, I think you're right. I only went back through those alternate endings just because I was already there. I'd played through that one and thought, oh, that was pretty horrific. I wonder if I can get away from that ending and maybe not have some nightmares. And so I got to see the other ways that it ends. But yeah, I agree with you. I don't think it's one that I would go back and play on the regular.
Hmm.
Uh, I think the environment that it would suit, and I haven't checked it out whether it plays on like Steam Deck or something portable. Like, I can imagine this could be something I could play in a portable environment. Like you say, a couple hours spare, you could have a run and see how you go. Again, probably not on the regular though. You'd play it once and see your
Hmm.
ending, and then you'd put it down for a month or two, I would think.
Well, I just checked. It is playable on Steam Deck. I don't have one, so I don't know all the
No,
different.
me neither.
But let's see. It's playable, but it's not like a perfect compatibility. If someone
Uh,
has if anyone watching this has a Steam Deck, leave a comment.
yeah, let us know.
Yeah, and especially for the price. Here in the U.S., it's $16. I tried to look up a conversion. I think that's like
Yep.
25 for
I
you.
can actually tell you, I'm pretty sure you're right. I think it is 25. Let me just confirm that for you now. 23.50. Yeah, so
Okay.
about $24.
And I mean, for 4 to 5 hours, that just seems a little bit steep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a real shame. I agree. I think it's, the art direction is really cool, but I did feel a little bit let down by yeah, by the storyline, I suppose I was a little bit let down, and I think $24. What did you say it is US?
16.
$16. Yeah, it's a lot to ask, isn't it, for 5 hours of gameplay?
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, if you do replay it, of course you're going to get more out of it. But like we said, once you beat it, it's like, all right, I don't have any immediate, desire to replay it again. Well, if I were going to rate this, I would give it just a solid 7 out of 10 sausages. It's fun, but it does have some pretty glaring issues. Um, some of them being like the wheel, where it's just a learning curve. Other things, it's like that's just something the developer has to work on if they choose to work on it. But it's a fun game. I just think maybe get it on sale, like get it 25% off. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's exactly how I feel as well. I enjoyed it enough to make it all the way through that playthrough. I was pushing myself at the end. I think the price at retail is just a bit too much to ask for what they've got here. It's not that it's an unfun game. It's just I feel like there is a few missed opportunities. It's fun enough, but yeah, I think on sale is the best way to go for this. I agree. Yeah.
Well, that's all I've really got for this. I appreciate having you here working on this with me, and I appreciate having the chance to be on your channel as well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Uh, this is endings. I'm really bad with the beginning and ends. Really bad. The middle stuff.
Me too.
If you guys are watching
Agree.
this, go check out Freybeard PC's channel. I should probably point in the correct direction. The stuff in the description below. Go check out his channel. He actually he inspires me to do better in my reviews, because I'll see something, I'm like, oh, that's really good. I like that. I should probably copy that.
Thanks, man. Likewise.
Yeah, thank you. I had a lot of fun doing this, and maybe we can do it again later.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It was a great time. I was really keen to play this through and then, yeah, have a good old yarn about it. It was good fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. So I think I'm gonna cut my review here. Mahoney out.
Nice. Hey, everybody. Thanks for having me, Sausage.
I'm sorry, I got a little confused.
Sorry, man. I don't know where you want me to come in.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah.
Maybe we can keep that in. I don't. Who knows? We'll see. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me.